In today's how-to video, I want to explain how you can improve your shooting flow for better performance and quicker times. One might say that shooting IPSC and USPSA is pretty simple and straightforward. You only have to follow and adhere to the following principles. First, you need to get an acceptable sight picture. Then you need to pull the trigger without disturbing that sight picture. And then you transition and repeat the previous process on all targets on that particular training or match stage. If it only would be that simple. In previous how-to videos, I already explained the importance of your brain in IPSC and USPSA shooting. Your brain consists of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. The only objective of your conscious mind whilst shooting during IPSC, USPSA training and or match stages is to shoot alphas fast. It's the only task that you should be thinking about with your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind needs to go into a smooth and efficient process in order for you to get an acceptable sight picture, transition and shoot the targets. Now, that shooting flow follows a set of principles consisting of the following. The first principle that applies is that you shoot targets nearest to you and then you move your way up further away from you. The second sub-principle tied to this one is that we shoot from the bottom up, and this has all to do with your eyes and your eye control and making sure that your eyes are first on the target area and your gun follows the eyes. The second principle requires you to shoot targets in a clockwise manner if you are a right-handed shooter. If you are a left-handed shooter, you shoot targets in a counterclockwise manner. The third principle implies that you shoot as much as you can targets that are lined up in a horizontal manner. These are the three main principles. The four topics I'm going to discuss in this presentation and video are the real target areas. I'm going to briefly touch on shooting cadence. I'm going to explain the two different types of targets that you consider whilst you are planning your stage. And I'm going to touch on transitions. And then I'm going to integrate everything into a couple of practical exercises to demonstrate how you can actually use the main principles combined with what I'm going to explain later on target arrays. The first topic I want to discuss are the real target areas on paper targets, on poppers and on steel plates. Most shooters, if you would ask them to explain what the real target areas are of paper targets, regardless of being 100%, 60% or mini IPSC targets, they will actually identify the entire paper target, which is not fully correct because most shooters will actually aim on the center of the A zone, which actually is the only real target on a paper IPSC target. As much as we can, we want to avoid to shooting into the C zone and or into the D zone. So the real target area is the entire green A zone as indicated here on the slide. For poppers, regardless of being small poppers or large poppers, most shooters will focus their iron sights or their dots on the middle area of the round part of the popper, which is not fully correct. Why? Because the entire green zone, as I've indicated here on the slide, is actually the real target area, because anywhere where you hit this popper on the green area, the popper will fall down. And the same principle is applicable to steel plates. Most shooters will focus and center their dots or their iron sights in the middle of a steel plate. whilst the entire green area as depicted here on the slide are the real target areas, and again, anywhere where you would hit that steel plate in the green zone, the plate will actually fall. Now you might ask me, what is the importance and the relevance of the real target areas in relationship to the shooting flow? It is all related to your subconscious process. You have to imprint into your subconscious mind that the only real targets are the A zone for paper targets, this area for poppers, and the entire steel plate. And this is directly tied to acquiring an acceptable sight picture and calling your shots fast for these specific areas. Otherwise, the areas that you would focus on are way smaller. So your acceptable sight picture is actually enlarged, which has a positive influence on your transition time and your splits on the stage that you are shooting. I want to build on what I just explained about the real target area, the A zone and the complete A zone, and I want to briefly touch on acceptable shots. On the slide you see 4 IPSC paper targets, and what you'll notice, especially with new and beginner shooters, that when they engage the paper target, that they focus on the center of the A zone, and when they fire off shots, the shots are actually very close together. Oftentimes showing that the level of accuracy is very good, but they also lose a lot of time, not only in acquiring the sight picture, but also firing off the shots. And subconsciously, or consciously, they try to get the close groups together as much as they can because it looks great and good. On the next paper targets, you see that the shots are spread further apart, but always in the real target area, leading to the same result, being double alphas on each time. Now, why is this relevant? Because if you want to shoot close groups together, it looks very good, but you do not get extra points because you shoot close groups together. All of these targets actually will get you a double alpha. The big difference, oftentimes, and again, especially for new and beginner shooters, is that these shots will probably be fired off in a quicker pace, and if the shooter does this on all the targets, he will get, or she will get, all the points in a much faster time than somebody who has these close groups together. So the lesson to learn is that you can compromise on accuracy in the real target area and gain speed and time if you focus your acceptable sight picture on the entire and the real target area, and you don't consciously or subconsciously focus too much attention on shooting close groups. Anywhere where you hit in the real target area, the A zone, is a double alpha on points, and oftentimes much faster. A quick word on shooting cadence, which is a topic that is oftentimes discussed in IPSC and USPSA communities. It is oftentimes referred to as shooting in a particular rhythm. I'm not going to go too much into detail. I would recommend not to get lost in the rhythm, and especially not with your conscious mind, because it detracts from the only task that your conscious mind has, and that is to shoot alphas fast. What I do want to explain related to shooting cadence is the focus on fast time for splits on shots and the transitions in between the targets, which are impacted by the type of target that you engage, your level of eye control, and especially transitioning from one real target area to another real target area, acquiring a fast and accurate acceptable sight picture, control your recoil. In the recoil, prep your trigger so that it is ready for your next shot, and also your ability to calling your shots on the different targets. Before I discuss the two different types of targets, I want to do a very quick shout out to professional shooter JJ Rakaza from whom I've actually learned about the different types of targets in one of his many YouTube videos. So two types of targets. We define attack targets and we define control targets. Attack targets are defined by distance and the fact that the real target area is fully open, visible and unobstructed. These types of targets we engage with much more focus on speed and a little less on accuracy. The control targets are further away and they might entail partial targets, no-shoots, moving targets including swingers and steals, for example. These types of targets need to be engaged with more focus on accuracy and a little less on speed. Now, why is this relevant? If you distinguish these two types of targets whilst you are listening to the stage briefing and you do your walkthrough, that enables you to determine which type of tactic or technique you're going to use to engage these different targets. On this slide, you see a couple of examples of attack targets, and I refer to the distances less than 8 meters away, and the fact that on all of these targets, the real target area, the A zone, is completely free and visible to the shooter. On this slide, you see some examples of control targets whereby the distances are much further than 8 meters. And another parameter that is important, the A zones are not complete nor visible. They are blackened out, or we are facing steals that are further away than 8 meters. I already explained the main principles related to shooting flow. And as a quick reminder, I want to brief you on the main process for transitioning. For more information, I refer you to my how-to playlist on my YouTube channel, where you can find a video on fast transitions. On the slide, you see two paper targets. The first paper target is the target on the left-hand side, which we want to engage. And the first thing that is going to focus on the real target area are our eyes, followed by our sights, or as in this example, our red dot. Once we acquired our acceptable sight picture, we will pull the trigger without disturbing the acceptable sight picture, and we will fire off 2 shots, achieving us the double alpha. Now, many shooters will keep gun and eyes together to transition over to the next target, which is actually incorrect, and it will cost you time. The first thing that needs to transition to the next target are our eyes. That's the first thing that needs to transition so we can acquire our real target area, have our gun follow, and the red dot centered in the acceptable sight picture. Now, that transition of your gun is broken up in 2 parts. You have the first part in which we want to, in a circular and curved way, we want to, as soon as we fire off our shots, in recoil, we bring our gun to the next target, and we use 90% speed and 10% we focus on accuracy, meaning that just before the target, we will slow down, get our sights in line with the real target area to get an acceptable sight picture, pull the trigger and fire off 2 shots. Those are the main principles related to transitioning. An important point to add is that if the targets are closer together than 1 meter, forget about the 90% speed, you only focus on accuracy. But the principle related to your shifting the eyes and transitioning the eyes remains the same. A quick reminder on the main shooting flow principles that I explained in the beginning of this presentation. There are 3. The first one entails that we will shoot the targets nearest to us and then further away. And the second sub-principle implies that we shoot from the bottom up. The second principle for right-hand shooters implies that we shoot in a clockwise manner, left-hand shooters shoot in a counterclockwise manner. And the third principle entails that as much as we can, we shoot targets that are located on a horizontal line. Those are the three main shooting flow principles. It's time to bring the different principles together and show you on real target arrays how the principles actually work and function. On the first target array, we see two paper targets that are attached on top to each other with the A zone, the real target areas, both fully visible. The way we approach this is, and again I refer you to the main principles, we shoot nearest furthest and then bottom up. So we already know that here we need to shoot from the bottom up. And why is this? Once we acquire the real target area, the A zone of the lower target, we get an acceptable sight picture. We press and pull the trigger and fire off 2 shots. The first thing that is going to move over to the next target area are our eyes. The gun will follow, we get our acceptable sight picture, we will pull the trigger without disturbing the sight picture, and we will fire off 2 shots. This is the standard way of approaching and engaging these types of targets. On the next shooting array, we have 3 paper targets, 2 below and 1 on top. Again, all the targets and the real target areas of the paper targets are visible. I again refer to the main principles. We know that we have to shoot nearest further away. We need to shoot our bottom up. We need to work in a clockwise manner, and we need to respect the horizontal lines. So if we integrate the 3 principles, the first target to engage is this one. Again, acceptable sight picture, pull the trigger, and then transition over, because we follow the horizontal line, to the target, the real target area on the paper target on the left. Acceptable sight picture, pull the trigger, fire off 2 rounds, and then we move up. First our eyes, we get an acceptable sight picture, we pull and we fire off 2 rounds. This is the standard approach to engaging targets in this target array. In the next example, we have 2 mini poppers and 1 paper target. The mini poppers are located in the same horizontal line. We need to shoot in a clockwise manner, being right-handed, and then we need to work our way bottom up. So the approach to engaging this type of target array is, first we will shoot the right popper, we will transition to the left, shoot the left popper, and then move upwards, acquire our acceptable sight picture on the real target area, fire off 2 shots, and this is how we engage a target array as this one. The next one is a small popper with 2 paper targets that are left and right from the mini popper. Again, referring to our main principles, we work our way up. We actually follow clockwise because we are right-handed shooters, which means that we will first shoot the popper, then we will transition to the real area, target area of the left-handed paper target, and then staying on a horizontal line, we will engage the paper target on the right-hand side. In the next example, the paper target and the popper are placed further away from each other, but the paper target is nearest to us, so we already know using the main principles that we first shoot the paper target, and then we will transition over to the popper to engage the popper. In the next example, we have a large popper and a mini target. Same principle applies. Now the popper is nearest to us, so we will engage this one first, and then we will actually transition over to the paper target to get an acceptable side picture, pull the trigger, and fire off 2 rounds on the next target. Always following the main principles. This is actually the key that enables you to determine and program the subconscious process in engaging different types of target arrays on training stages and match stages. The objective of this video was to explain how you can improve your shooting flow, considering that it is and needs to be a subconscious process, not a conscious process. Again, your conscious mind only needs to think about shooting alphas fast. Your subconscious mind needs to be trained in the different principles that I've explained. The main shooting flow principles that entail that you shoot targets nearest to you and then further away, and bottom up. You follow, if you're right-handed, the clock. You follow the counter clock if you're left-handed, and you will shoot targets that are located on a horizontal line. I've explained to you that subconsciously your brain needs to be trained to recognize the real target areas on paper targets, poppers and steel plates. I explained to you the importance and the existence of 2 types of targets, attack targets and control targets. Attack targets that need to be engaged with more focus on speed, and control targets with more focus on accuracy. I briefly touched on transitions, and I integrated all of these principles and techniques into a couple of target arrays that I explained to you, and also imprint onto your subconscious mind how you need to engage these different types of targets. Now, is what I'm explaining set in stone? No, this is only the way that I have learned to improve my skills. If you have other ways, please be my guest, and if they work for you, kudos to you. But these principles actually helped me a lot to improve my performance and my match results. I also refer to my dry fire playlist on my YouTube channel, where you can find a variety of videos and presentations that help you to train transitioning, especially your eyes. So the good thing is you don't need to put on your belt and pick up your gun and do dry fire. You can actually do this in front of your screen, your smartphone screen, your tablet screen, or your laptop or PC screen, and train your eyes to actually move from one target to another. Oftentimes there are also part times and timers involved to make it a little more real, and the objective of these videos is really to train your subconscious mind to transition from one target to another. I hope this helps.